So I'm going to jump straight into what I prepared for today, right? And I want to say first is that Christmas is a really funny season, okay? On the outside, right, it's like, oh, I got food. When you come in here, got Milo, got cookies. Okay, our version of Christmas, okay? You go to town, you have lights, you do gifts exchange, there's music, there's hanging out. But, again, Christmas is also one of the first few times in the year, right? Or the few times in the year when life really slows down for us to think, right? For me, when I blink my eye, it's the end of 2025 already. 2026 is coming. We think about the year that just passed. The exams, I know most of you took your major exams as well, that you took, the friendships that changed, the opportunities that we thought about, but, some of us, our New Year goal is, right, 2025 resolution away, right? It's not there, right? We never do anything about it. Or the things that we told ourselves that we should start, but we never did, okay? And I don't know about you, okay, whether you feel excited about 2026, you feel kind of nervous about it, or trying not to think about it at all, right? Whatever comes, I just do, okay? I think many of us are just asking kind of like the same question. 2025 hasn't been a really great year, I admit, but what's next for 2026? What am I going to do with my life? Will it just be another year of tiring, of boring, or for you maybe just chill, right? So recently, I read a book by Daniel Pink called The Power of Regret. And he studied regret across thousands of people, and he found something interesting. When people look back on life, the regrets that stay with them the longest are usually not the mistakes they make. They are the chances that they never taken. And I think that's why heading into a new year, many of us end up stuck in one of these three mindsets I'm going to say, okay? Some of us, you are afraid of regret that you start to jump into decisions very rashly. Right? We jump quickly because we don't want to miss out. Then we feel lost. Or some of us, we regret something deeply, a result, your exam result, your relationships, a mistake. And instead of learning from it, we carry it like our labor. Right? We get tired, we stop trying. And some of us, we are so afraid of future regret because of what parents, your teachers, friends, or society expect from us, that we end up doing nothing at all. We overthink, we wait for confidence, we wait for the perfect moment, and then our life just pass by. So that brings me to the title of my message today is Coulda, Shoulda, and Woulda, okay? It's a slang, could have, should have, would have. Because to me, the saddest part, when I think about this year, right, is that it's not about failing. The saddest part is letting fear, pressure, the regret shrink your life, and then you call it, maybe play it safe, call it wisdom. So there is a Bible passage that I want to share with you today, and it's written by someone described as one of the wisest people recorded in the Bible, okay? So not someone naive, not someone very sheltered, but someone who knew what it was like to have success, influence, and options. And I just want to say, I'm pretty sure no other church is using this Bible passage for Christmas today. So, you're in for a treat, okay? So Ecclesiastes 11, verse 5 to 10. Okay, it's on the screen as well. I'm going to read it to you. It says, just as you don't understand what the life breath does in a fetus inside a pregnant woman's womb, so you can't understand the work of God, who makes everything happen. Scatter your seed in the morning, and in the evening, don't be idle, because you don't know which will succeed, this one or that, or whether both will be equally good. Sweet is the light, and it's pleasant for the eyes to see the sun. Even those who live many years should take pleasure in them all. But they should be mindful that there will also be many dark days. Everything that happens is pointless. Oh, it's not, I love it when I was younger, right? Emo. Verse 9 says, rejoice, young person, while you are young. Your heart should make you happy in your prime. Follow your heart's inclinations and whatever your eye sees, but know this, God will call you to account for all of these things. Remove anxiety from your heart, banish pain from your body, because youth and the dawn of life are pointless too. So I really, really love this passage when I was younger, okay? I was quite an emo kid. Right, life is pointless, yeah, I agree. But when I got older, I had a much more mature view on this passage, okay? You see, what I love about this passage is how really honest and truthful it was. And it admits that, we don't understand everything. It admits that there will be dark days. It admits that life is really fragile and short. But it also tells us something powerful is that don't wait forever. Don't live only for perfect conditions. Right? It says plant your seed, start, try, rejoice while you're young. Right? This isn't just tell you to YOLO or reckless advice. This is the wisdom that refuses to let your fear or regret steal your future. So this afternoon, I want to unpack this wisdom through 3 big stories, okay? A myth from long ago, okay? His name is Icarus. A woman from 200 years ago, Ada Lovelace, and a man about 2,000 years ago, okay? Jesus. 3 very different times, 3 very different lives, but they all point us to the same question, right? Is it worth trying in life, even if you might fail? Is it worth dreaming just a little bit bigger, even if you might fall short? Is it worth choosing what matters, even when it costs you? And we'll frame it through 3 shifts in our lives today as we head into, you start thinking about 2026, okay? So let's begin with the first one. Point 1 I have for you is, stop saying, I could have. Say, I can. So overcoming fear is an important part of fulfilling our dreams. And when I say fear, and I don't mean the horror movie fear. I mean everyday fear. The kind that looks very, very small, but it actually controls a lot. You see, fear is a reason maybe sometimes you type a message and you delete. You're scared. Or the reason that you want to ask a question in class, right? But you stay quiet because you're worried you asked a stupid question. You sound stupid, right? Or fear is the reason that you keep telling yourself, next time, I'll do it next time. Because next time really never comes, okay? Fear is sneaky because it sounds like, sometimes you are just being wise. To be careful, don't waste your time, don't embarrass yourself. And only try if you're certain you will succeed. And over time, fear turns I could to I could have. It's different. So in verse 5 earlier in the passage, it says, just as you don't understand what the life breath does in a fetus inside a pregnant woman's womb, so you can't understand the work of God who makes everything happen. So what this means is you're not meant to know everything before you take your first step. You don't get certainty before you start. So if you're someone, waiting until you feel completely confident before you start, right, I'll tell you, you might wait forever. You see, fear really loves this thing because fear doesn't just stop you loudly, it delays you in your life quietly. So that brings us to our first story, right? Icarus. Some of you might be familiar with this. So Icarus is a myth, okay, but it's a story that many of us learn, at least for me, when I learned when I'm younger. And it stayed with me for a reason. So in the story, Icarus and his father, Daedalus, are trapped in an island. And there is no normal way out, no safe exit. So his father did something radical. He built wings out of feathers and wax. Now, Icarus has never flown before. No one around him has ever, no human being can fly, right? There is no guarantee this idea will work, no safety net. And before Icarus takes off, with his father warns him, don't fly too high. Because, you get close to the sun, the wax will melt and then you'll crash. Don't fly too low because of humidity. Again, you will crash. Stay in the middle. And the lesson we taught was clear. In your life, don't aim too high. Play safe, survive. Now, let me say this first, right? It made sense back then. Because the lesson was meant to protect us, at least for my generation. You see, I grew up in the generation where we were told, the world is your oyster. You can do anything, you can go anywhere, right? And the story of Icarus reminded us, hey, be practical. Stay grounded. Don't let your ego get ahead of us. Right? Icarus' story was wisdom for its time. But over time, 20 years passed, right? We've seen people crash and burn. We've seen people get cancer online for trying. We've seen how one wrong moment can follow someone for years. And, we didn't just learn it from the internet. We learned it from people who love us as well. Some of us grew up hearing things like, don't take unnecessary risk. As long as you're stable, it's good enough. I don't want you to struggle like I did, all right? Those words actually come out of love from parents who want to protect us, from adults who had seen how hard life can be. But somewhere along the way, protection slowly turned into fear. So we start telling ourselves, maybe it's better to do it safe. To not stand out too much. To not try too hard. To not risk failing at all. But here's the shift. One generation's lesson often becomes the next generation's ceiling. What started as wise advice, learned through hard experiences, slowly turns into too much caution. Not because the advice was wrong, but because fear slowly takes over our lives. And instead of helping us move forward, it starts holding us back. Listen, fear doesn't kill dreams, it shrinks them. So, what do? We start trimming our lives, our dreams. Right? I want to try out for that school sports team, but I didn't. I want to attempt something new, but I kept waiting until I felt ready. I want to speak up about someone being bullied in school, but I stayed quiet to avoid conflict. And slowly, again, I could have done those things. You see, a could have life isn't built in one big decision. It's built in many, many small moments where fear talks us out of trying. And here's the scary part. A could have life looks normal on the outside, nothing looks wrong, but nothing ever really begins. So there's a modern retelling of the Icarus story that I love, and it's not the original myth, of course, it's the newer interpretation. And in it, Icarus still fails. Okay, no change of story. But someone said when he falls, he laughed. Now, not because failing doesn't hurt, but because for one moment he truly experienced what it is to fly. To me, I was very inspired, and it shows me something very important that, there is pain in failing, but there is also a deeper sadness in never trying. So listen, the tragedy isn't that Icarus fell. The tragedy would have been if he never flown higher. So here's my challenge for you today. What is one thing you keep saying you will do, but you've been avoiding all this year? The thing that you already know you should try, you keep pushing to someday, tomorrow, then next year already. When you keep giving excuses because you fear, right? What's one thing? Something meaningful, brave, and stretches you. Because the biggest failure isn't failing, the biggest failure is never trying. And this is why the first shift matters. I can. I can start even when I'm afraid. I can try even when I'm unsure. I can take one step without seeing the whole path in front of me. And not because fear is no longer there, but because fear no longer gets the final say in your life. So, turn to your friends, tell them, I can. Now, let me go a little deeper with this, okay? Especially about the fear of failing. All the youths here, you need to hear this. Failure is an event, not your identity. You see, an event is something that just happened. An identity is who you are. Now, if you fail one test, you are not a failure. If you mess up once in your life, you are not useless. If you fall short, you are not done. But fear doesn't stop at the event. Fear says, this is something about you. It holds your identity. It proves that you are not enough. It means that you should stop trying altogether. And once fear turns one moment into a label that I'm a failure, you don't just stop trying that one thing. You stop trying anything that feels risky. You stop raising your hand to volunteer in class at home. You stop applying for the things that you want to try in your life. You stop dreaming. You stop believing that you can become more. And the most dangerous thing about this is that failure didn't defeat you, fear did. You see, because failing at something means you tried. And trying means you step into possibility. Listen, every person who has ever grown up, learned, or become something meaningful has failed before. The difference is not that they never fail. The difference is that they didn't let the fall decide who they are or who they're going to become. And also, if you are here today carrying a failure, a bad result, a mistake, a moment you wish you could redo in your life, I want you to know this, that moment does not define you. That moment is not the end of your story, of your future. That moment might just be the beginning of your growth. Now, here's where things get tricky. Some of us hear this and think, okay, I get it. I can get up and try again. But then another voice shows up, and this is not the voice of fear that we talk about. It's the voice of limits. the voice that says, you should be doing something else. You should be further along by now in your life. You should be choosing the safer path. And that's what, we need to talk about next. Now, point number 2, instead of I should have, say I shall in your life. So the first part, talks about what stops us from starting in your life. Now this part is about what stops us from continuing. So should is a very powerful word. Should is about expectations, anticipation, determination, and hope. For example, I should wake up and train. It will take me one step closer to my dreams. I should practice a little harder because, I'm going to be a better musician or something like that. But the problem with should is it's often comparing ourselves to other people. When we say we should have, there's always a picture in our minds of what success looks like. What being a good student looks like. What being cool looks like. And if you're not careful, you will start picking subjects in your life or choosing courses or even buying clothes and behaving a certain way just because you think that is what you should be doing. And you do that too often and you will make it harder for yourself to discover who you really are and what dreams truly makes you happy. So Ecclesiastes 11 verse 6, it says, scatter your seed in the morning and in the evening don't be idle because you don't know which will succeed, this one or that, or whether both will be equally good. Yes. You see, when you are young, all of you are here young, right? Yes. This is what the Bible says that you should be doing. Yeah. Wake up every day, try your hand at different things, work hard. Yes. Because you don't know yet what your talents and gifts are going to be. Yes. Some of you will be lucky to discover it early on in your life, maybe because you're good at school, or because something you are a part of helps you discover your passion. Yes. Some of you may discover it later in your life. Because maybe the subjects that you are studying in school right now hasn't yet touched who you're supposed to be and what you want to do. Yes. So it's okay. Just work hard at your attitude and discipline when you get the chance, try different things. Yes. You see, because Ecclesiastes says you never know which of your efforts will succeed. You do not know which step you take will suddenly unlock your gifts and your talents. Yes. You see, when you are young, don't just do what feels safe or guarantees that you won't fail. Yes. But also don't only do what is fun and lazy and easy. Yes. Don't waste the opportunity you have as a young person to discover who you are and what your dreams might be. Yes. Don't limit your life because of anxiety or because of laziness. So, the next story is a woman named Ada Lovelace. So, Ada was born into a famous family in the 1800s. And her father was a famous poet, Lord Byron. Okay, famous for the wrong reason. But her life was not glamorous or easy. Her parents separated when she was young, and she was raised very strictly. And from early on, people already had strong opinions about who she should be, what she should study, what kind of life was appropriate for her. Now remember, this is the early 1800s. Women were not expected to do serious work, especially, when I'm going to go into the STEM industry, mathematics or science. So from the start, Ada grew up surrounded by lots of limits. But she had a mind that refused to shrink to those limits. She loved patterns, logic. She loves imagining how things could work. So she studied mathematics and science and eventually worked with a man named Charles Babbage who designed a machine meant to perform calculations called the analytical engine. Modern day term is called the computer or calculator. So most people, back in those days, when they look at the machine, they thought, okay, yes, good, it can do math faster. But Ada saw something bigger than just that. She imagined that the machine could follow instructions step by step in sequence. So she then wrote detailed notes explaining how the machine could be instructed to perform a series of operations. And many people today recognize this as one of the earliest examples of a computer program in the 1800s. You see, I love this. Ada was the world's first computer programmer, not a man. Okay? And Ada didn't stop there. No, she suggested that machines could work with symbols and patterns, not just numbers. And she even imagined that one day, these machines could be used everywhere for businesses, to help create music and art even. So think about that, right? She lived before computers existed, before the internet, before you have your iPhone, before you have your ChatGPT. She dared to imagine a future no one else could see yet. And now here's the part that makes her story very powerful. Ada did not live to see this future. The machine she wrote about was never fully built in her lifetime. She didn't become famous. There was no applause, good job. In fact, people tried many ways to discredit her so that, men could have the upper hand in the field of science and tech. And that's true. And to the world around her, it probably looked like she tried something big and nothing came out of it. But history tells a different story. What Ada gave the world was not a hardware. She gave the world an idea, a glimpse of the future, a possibility. And when computers finally became real many decades later, that idea became the foundation of modern computing. And that is why today Ada Lovelace is still well known, especially among university students. Not because she was popular in her time, but because she was early. She wasn't wrong in any way. She was just early. And that's why I think real heroes look like. Not people who chase trends, not people who only do what works immediately, but people who dare to plant seeds that shapes the future. And this is where her story meets yours. You see, you don't stop because you are incapable. You stop because the limits feels too heavy in your life. You try and the results are slow. You step out and nothing changes. You keep going and it feels, like nothing's progressing. And then the voice inside you says, no, I should have chosen the safer path. I should stop trying so hard. I should just stick to what works. That is the should have life. But Ada's life teaches us something important. When you try and fail, you are not wasting time. You are learning. You are planting. You are paving the way to the future. So that is the second shift. I shall keep going even when it's slow. I shall keep going even when it feels unseen. I shall live by the vision and dreams that I have in my life, not by comparison. Because should doesn't decide my future anymore. So here's the challenge for this point is that what is one should that has been limiting you in your life? A should from your parents, from your friends, society, from comparison, or even one that you place in yourself. Listen, you will know it is limiting you when it makes you afraid to keep going. So today I want to encourage you, all of you here, don't quit because results are slow in your life. Don't shrink your dreams just because others don't see them yet. Move from I should have to I shall. I shall keep going, I shall keep trying, I shall keep becoming. Because sometimes when you try and fail, you are not losing, you are paving the way to your future. And my last point for you today is, instead of I would have, say I will. You see, the first point is about fear stopping you from starting. The second point was about limits stopping you from continuing. But this point is about what happens after. When you look back in your life and think, I would have had a better life if I had chosen differently. I would have done better if I hadn't messed up. I would have been happier if I started earlier. So this point is about regret. You see, regret isn't just a feeling. Regret can become a prison. It can make you rewrite your whole identity based on just one season in your life. It can make you stop trusting yourself. It keeps you living carefully, quietly on kind of like a safe mode. And the most dangerous thing about regret is this. It confines you, that time is already wasted. So why try again? So Ecclesiastes 11 verse 8, it says, even those who live many years should take pleasure in them all. But they should be mindful that there will also be many dark days. Everything that happens is pointless. So the Bible doesn't pretend regret doesn't exist. It's not just a happy book, that's all. It names it honestly. You see, life has moments you're going to be proud of. And also moments you wish you could redo. And the verse here shows us something important, that it is one thing to understand, just, the Bible says this. But understanding alone cannot undo your life. You cannot heal it. So that's why we need the final story and the man from about 2,000 years ago, right? Jesus. And here's what makes Jesus different from every hero story. Jesus did not come to build a comfortable life. He came to build a new world, a rescued world. He didn't live for what we would chase popularity. He didn't live for, self-preservation. He didn't choose the safest route in his life. If I'm honest, Jesus could have had a better life. I mean, he's God. He can literally have anything he wanted. He could have stayed away from conflict. He could have avoided pain. He could have protected himself and lived longer. But Jesus chose love over self-protection. Sacrifice over comfort. He chose to endure hardship so that others could have life. And because of that, he chose to die on the cross for humanity, for you and I. So you see, from the outside, his story looked like failure. He came, he taught, he healed, he served, and then he died. Nothing changed, or it seems. And if you were watching it 2,000 years ago, you might thought, that's it, it's over, story finished already, close chapter. He tried, he failed. But here's the thing. I think Jesus did not regret. Because the cross was not an accident. It was a decision. A decision to love. A decision to save. A decision to show us a different way to live. You see, what looked like the greatest failure became the greatest rescue in our story. And Jesus explained this with a picture that is so powerful, especially for people who feel like you have lost time in your life. John 12:24, he says this, I assure you that unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it can only be a single seed. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. You see, a seed that stays safe stays small. It remains one seed, right? But the seed that falls into ground looks like you've lost the seed. It looks like it's the end. It looks like it's failure. Yet that loss is the beginning of fruit. You see, that's what happened at the cross. To the world, Jesus looked like he lost. But what looked like failure became saving the world. What looked like the end became a new beginning. What looked like darkness became hope. So, for all of us today, if regret is the voice that says, I would have, faith becomes the voice that says, I will. I will not let the past steal my future. I will not keep replaying what I cannot change. I will not live trapped in shame. I will choose love over self-preservation, self-protection. I will choose what matters over what feels safe. And it's not someday, not when life is perfect and ready, but now. Listen, fear says don't start. Limit says don't continue. Regret says it's too late. But God says it's possible. And this is why Christmas matters. Christmas is not just a cute story about a baby in a manger. Christmas is God saying, I am not far. I am not distant. I step into your world. God didn't come when you were perfect. God came into the world filled with darkness, filled with regrets, filled with brokenness. And if God can bring fruit out of a seed that falls, He can bring purpose out of your regret. He can bring growth out of your mistakes. He can bring a future out of what feels wasted. So here is the invitation for today, that as we head into 2026, don't stay stuck in the I could have, I should have, I would have. Don't let fear tell you that you're too late. Don't let limits tell you to stay small. Don't let regret convince you that your story is over. Because with God, it's possible. It is possible to begin again. It's possible to become who you want to become. It's possible to live with purpose. So move forward from I could have to I can. From I should have to I shall. And from I would have to I will. And that is my hope for all of you this Christmas. And that is also the story of Jesus.